Hello and welcome back to the Sharpest Tool podcast, where we take the sting out of marketing. This is our second special edition focusing on the coronavirus and its impact in the trades. My name is Josh Smith. I'm the host and vice president of internet marketing for home services over here at Scorpion. Joining me today is Al Levy, the Seven Power contractor and founder of Zoom Franchise Company, and Ellen Rohr, president of Zoom Drain. We welcome you both. I really want to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining me here on the show today. I know it's your second time on the Sharpest Tool podcast, a bit of a different experience right now. But we're here to discuss how home service businesses can weather the storm, from company communications to operations to leadership. There's a lot of insights and advice both of you can share. So I'm really excited. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I love being here with my partner, Al. Hey, Al.
Hey, Al. Yeah, we have a long-term love relationship. We agreed years ago we would always date and never get married, and it's worked out really well.
Mm-hmm. Al is my work husband.
Yes, and Al is my work wife, yes.
I know
I'm here before we get rolling here because we've got a lot of great information to share with you. So I'm going to get through the stuff here. I don't play a doctor, lawyer, accountant on TV, and I don't play it in this podcast. You know, you do have to lean on your trusted advisors. This is not information I'm not shared with our own franchisees and customers that I have, because it's important. But we do have a lot of good information to share with you. So stay tuned. Don't hit the button when you jump out.
Yeah.
Patience with us. The other thing I'll share with you is that Ellen and I are going to share suggestions with you that if we were in your shoes, this is what we would be doing. Again, you have to decide what fits you best and who you need to be reaching out to. Elle, you good with that?
I am good with that. No, I think credible resources is been a big part of what we've been up to these last couple of weeks. And kudos to Scorpion for putting out content that is relevant and credible. So thank you. We're happy to help in the capacity we can.
Awesome.
Yeah, he actually had Tim on. Yeah, Tim Flynn, who's a customer of mine.
Yeah.
So he shared some great information. But it's our turn, so let's go.
It is.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's book in. Let's just dive right in here. Let's first talk about how kind of owner-operators should really prioritize their efforts right now. Al, let's start with you. I'm kind of curious your thoughts on that topic.
You know, I think for me, I was lucky. I came from a business, onto the fourth generation. And the biggest thing was in times of struggle, and I went through one of the things of being this age is been around the block a few times. And I got to tell you, Tim said, there is no playbook sometimes. We were in the oil business. We went through an oil embargo. That's all we sold, Josh.
Yeah.
All we sold. We had to deal with that. No playbook. We had been in New York, went through 9/11, and it was bad for the whole country, but particularly rough if you lived in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
So there was no playbook for that. And then, of course, 2008, we just hit the skids like everybody else, and was working with clients and trying to get them through it. And what I would share with you is my dad's advice was that act like you're going to be in business for a while. Business decisions get easier. The other thing my dad was really wise about is we saved our money for times just like this because we would become aggressive. And Ellen's going to share about what that means financially. And so I want to just kick it off to you, Ellen. Share a little bit of what that means.
Yeah.
Because I love what Ellen says, money buys options.
Well, another tough time that you've been through personally, Al, is when Sandy hit, your family business lost 22 trucks in that storm.
Yes.
So again, this idea of in the good times, it's easy to think that the bad times are never going to come. I want to share one thought about leadership that we've been bouncing around the last few days is that I know from being a business owner myself and the lessons that I learned, and then working with lots of clients, working with our franchisees, I know that if someone makes a plan, implements that plan, makes some progress, they're going to improve their company. And I have up until now been comfortable with people finding their own speed to that. Like if you say to your kid, you should wear a jacket today because it's 30 below. And they say, no, thanks. And you go, good, don't wear your jacket. And they go out there, and that evidence is going to color their next decision. What we understand that's different about this time right now is there's no luxury of time. You are going to survive and thrive only if you apply business basics with no excuses. You take extreme ownership for the situation that you find yourself in. And I think my role as a leader is to up my standards and the immediate consequences if people are going to do things that put themselves or the team at risk. And that can go all the way down to, certainly I'm going to talk about the financials because that's the area that I helm. Yeah. But even with your service techs, if you get them they're the PPE and the shoe covers and the Tyvek and the face shields, and they don't use it, that puts the entire team at risk. So if we have financial systems and if we have operating manuals and our team members aren't using it, that puts everybody at risk. So it feels like, Al, you can respond to this too. I feel like my leadership needs to step up in terms of accountability and consequences and just shortening the distance between here to there, here to operational excellence.
Yeah. Well, two things. Thanks for letting me jump in. And Josh, we'll let you know when it's your turn.
Yeah, that's great. I'm soaking it up. Let's do this.
Ellen pointed out getting through there was no playbook for 2008 was a good thing. I would share with you, I went out my first year to consulting and my brothers were dying to know what did I learn while I was away. And I told them there are way smarter people out there than us. But here's what I will tell you. When we argued and fought and we came up with a plan of action, we weren't stopping until it's done. And this is when you have to put this skill to work, what Ellen's talking about. It's not like we'll get around to it. You're getting through it. So there's a wall in front of you. You have to be committed to getting through that wall, over the wall, whatever you think, go get a bulldozer, but that wall's coming down. And with that attitude, things will work out. And again, that thing about my dad said is think like you're going to be in business for a while. Business decisions get easier.
Gosh, and how important is urgency in this whole thing? Like executing, not just executing, but executing with urgency. It seems like if you're not the first mover, somebody else is going to be. And that can make or break the situation. Have you experienced that with some of the trials you've gone through in the past, the 2008 crisis and before?
Well, I'm a planner, so Ellen knows that. And I don't throw away my systems. Ellen and we talk a lot, off screen and all the time. But one of the things that I love about Ellen is she came up through the restaurant trade. Mm-hmm. And I did not. I came, by the time I could walk, I was at the business. And I said to Ellen one day, I said, what do you do when a bus rolls in? Do you just, wing it? She goes, no, we lean on the systems. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what we tell our clients and in particular our franchisees. You need your systems more now. Now, the thing is, you got to get down to it. If you don't have systems, just get some notes together, but get together and make a system and go what you got. You can always make it better tomorrow. Don't wait till you have a perfect system at this point. This is, you've got to get into action mode. I still believe in, so I talked about master project the last time, top 30, top 5, you recall. Basically, though, so now the top 5 is go get shoe covers, go get hand sanitizer, go get Tyvek suits. You follow? We didn't throw it away. We're just optimizing that top 5 because there's a billion things that are hitting you guys, and I totally get it. But ultimately, the prioritization of that list of what you need to do, it's not these big, lofty projects. Now, it was different in our particular case because we had so many systems, as do our franchisees. And this was when we would really hit the marketing button. I'm saying that because I'm on with Scorpion. I'm telling you, this is exactly because the buys are better. All of these things are better. We need to acquire companies in this particular moment because we had the thought when we come out the other side, there's going to be a lot of your competition that you've been complaining about out there. They're going away. And the question is, what are you going to do in that void? Yeah. Because it's a great opportunity. Al, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'd love to jump on that. I'm always inspired when Al talks. So our mission at Zoom Drain is to demonstrate the best that business can be. That doesn't mean perfect. That just means better than anybody else. So what does best mean right now? So what are our 2 objectives? And our 2 objectives, as Al indicated, is number 1, that our team operates safely. Just a shout out to the frontline guys out there. Their families are sequestered at home. They're going out every day, guys and gals, and I just couldn't love you more and appreciate you so much. So our responsibility is to keep them safe, keep our customers safe. Septage was toxic yesterday. It's toxic today. It's like fire. Fire was dangerous yesterday. It's dangerous today. So in our world, it's more important than ever to use the protocol that we already had in terms of dealing with septage is the sexy word for it. So, tightening up those systems and making sure that we're taking the extra steps of social distancing, that is, like Al said, that has got to be drilled and enforced every day. And then the second thing is the financial health of each franchisee and the franchisor. So we have to really get down to basics. So our updated game plan for our franchisees, and the advice that I would share for anyone who's listening is, now is not the time to let your accounting drop. Now is the time to stay up till midnight if you have to, and make sure that every sales entered, payments, deposits made, bills are entered, credit card statement, everything is up to date. And the standard is 2019. Those financials better be ready to go. Because even if you don't have to file or pay yet, if one of your resources is going to be the SBA or the CARES Act, you've got to have your financial house in order. So right now is more important than ever, and always good advice, is to make sure that you have a balance sheet and profit and loss up to date. The 2019 is closed, done, verified. Each month is closed by the 15th of the following month, and that you can run those reports weekly. Now, I want to pause a minute because I feel like this could be a soliloquy. Do you want me to share like the few numbers that are going to make all the difference right now?
Absolutely. I mean, I think our business owners would love to hear that kind of clarity.
So we use a report called the Financial Quick Check, and if you're interested, you can get one from me. It's not exclusive to Zoom. However, it is one of the things that makes us extraordinary is that our team uses this. And this is one of our requirements moving forward, that weekly you want to know on a one-page dashboard report the key performance indicators, or KPIs, from your balance sheet and your profit and loss. And they're no surprise. Sales, cost of goods sold, the gross margin, overhead, profit in dollars and percentages. Job one is make money every month. Don't lose money. So if your sales are down, then you have to look at where you can control expenses. You're going to play offense, more sales, defense, more expenses. Sales minus expenses equals a positive number, at least not a negative number, is job one right now. Another key performance indicator is going to be your cash flow position, which you find from your balance sheet. So what do you have in cash and accounts receivable, and match that against what you have in bills to pay right now. If up until this point you were running with a minimal amount of debt, if you had plenty of cash flow, you are going to weather this storm better. And so that's where I feel the responsibility for our team members, and why we're on the call today is, let this be our shining hour for making sure that this never happens to us again, that we're caught with our pants down as far as cash and profits, and we can use that to weather it. Al, jump in, my friend.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in on that. Is I do want to go, we're talking about Zoom Drain, and I hope this, comes across to you at home, or wherever you are, if you ever get home, because I realize you're not seeing a lot of home these days. Yeah. All of what we're sharing here applies to you. Mm-hmm. And so, in my particular case years ago, we have PPE is in the manuals. It's not like we woke up one day and go, oh, what should we do about that? Now, I do have to admit, Josh, when we put it in years ago, it was more of a CYA. We had no idea that it would actually, in our particular case, it lowered these guys getting hurt. So they were always able to work. And when the injuries that were minimized, all great things. Well, of course, now it really comes home. But I want to share just turn this just a little bit. The fact that you do all of this stuff, and I'm the customer left in the dark, you struck out. Mm-hmm. So this is not the time to hide under your desk. I know I remember myself, there was times I would like to have crawled under my desk, but it's not helpful. You've got to lead from the front. Yep. You've got to be out there, because if you're not talking to me, then I'm listening to every other voice, and it's not going to be the voice you want.
Yeah.
So I've got to share with my team first and foremost about what are we doing to protect you, how are we working, what have we done, made some changes to how we collect the money, things like that. And just calling you to the higher task is, I know it sounds weird because we're talking about sewerage, but we are the originators of what stopped the Black Plague from happening all these years. And if we fall out of our habits in sewerage or any plumbing, you guys have all seen the sign about the plumber protects the health of the nation. That's not just some words written on a page. That is a calling to all of us. Now, everybody has to make their own decision about going to work, but while you're here and while you're on my team, it's up to me to do everything in my power to help you work safe. And then I need to make that message to my audience so that my audience, being my customers, know what we are doing, what we've always done, but now we're taking it even to a higher level and demonstrating that in videos or any of that other things. I think is what really will differentiate the, I hate to say winners and losers because it sounds worse than it is. That's not what I mean.
You know what? You're transitioning beautifully into exactly what I want to talk a bit more in depth about, and that's communication. Let's talk a bit about that, communication to your staff during this time. Why is that so important, and how do you personally go about that? Let's start with you, Alan.
I think, one of our team members, thanks, Sam, said the other day that what he's learned about surviving and thriving in tough times is that you're going to have to make a decision. You're not always going to decide right, and you can't live in self-doubt. Make the decision, get the evidence of that decision, and then you make another decision, but you can't second guess yourself all the time, and we are all going to make mistakes. So a tip would be assume people are doing their best. Call them up instead of type an angry text. Reach out and communicate with each other. So often our ability to communicate is what limits our understanding. And it's usually easier. I have loved being able to use FaceTime and get the nonverbal cues. Yeah. Is that what you were holding your phone up?
That's why I was holding my phone up. See how good she is, Josh?
So good, she read it.
But 70% of our communication is nonverbal.
Yeah. So Al and I are on FaceTime with each other while we're on this podcast.
Yeah. And when you are typing, I'm starting to read tone into that, and that's dangerous. So what Ellen is giving us a great habit here. Yeah. If you can't do face-to-face, you can do FaceTime, but you've got to make that personal connection one-to-one with your staff.
Yeah. And be kind. And, even with the PPE, one of the things, like, we've had this in our manuals, we've trained on it, but we've never had to use it to the level that we have right now. So even, getting the incorporating from good resources like the CDC and IAPMO and getting some, conversation going with the team. Like, the idea of the face shield is to keep the stuff off your face. Mm-hmm. Like, if you put one of those masks on and you leave the mask on all day and it gets dirty, now it's holding stuff on your face. You want the stuff off your face. So, like, those kind of nuances take just reiterating the training to an obsessive level, and then holding guys accountable for doing that. But being kind. Yeah. The relationships are everything. In business and in life. And it's important to do what you can and give each other a little bit of slack. When people are stressed, they're going to operate at their worst. Mm-hmm. Your customers, your team members, each other, be kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the communication end of it is, you've got to be out front of that. And it is tricky. So if you do need to go again to your trusted advisors to make sure that you're putting out what it is, only speak to what your intent is and what you can really do. And watch, unfortunately, I know I was listening to one of your podcasts. Be careful. It's not so much in our thing. It's about we can't protect you from COVID-19. Mm-hmm. We can minimize the spread and do a bunch of different things. That's what I'm waiting to see out there now, because I do watch, obviously involved with HVAC, and you don't have a filter that does that. So be careful.
Yeah, I think it's really important to make sure you're not blurring the lines, because that can cause confusion in the consumer base, which can damage your business reputation long term. I'm kind of curious too, now that we're on this topic of communicating internally with people, we talked beautifully about the strictening of our own standards in times of crisis during leading in times of crisis. With that, how do you find the balance, or how have you both found the balance of heightening those standards and the strength at which you attack those standards, but also balancing that with the love aspects, Ellen, to kind of back to how you're communicating with people to get them motivated and inspired. We talk a lot about leadership in times of not crisis, and leading in crisis is quite a bit different. And I think often we can have a bit of a relaxing of those standards over time sometimes, right? So how do you go about balancing that while still motivating and inspiring the team?
I'm going to jump in really quick. This is what Ellen and I are personality-wise. Can you see the X?
Yeah.
There's a lot in the middle, but we come at it differently, and we respect each other. Mom is a lot of love, and I love you too, but it's going to come a little differently, Josh. Including my clients who will all attest to that. You know, Ellen was talking before about you don't want to take your coat, well, you deal with it. I'm going to chase you up the street with your coat, and I'm going to put 10 coats on your bed so that you'll know that you're never going without the coat. It's a different style. It's not so much the style as much as the way that you are conveying that message. I do recommend that you keep the message very short.
Sure.
That's all that we can absorb. You know, I came out of Dale Carnegie training, which is tell them the 3 things, cover the 3 things, and make sure you end with those 3 things. Don't give me 30 things to process right now, because it's just going to overwhelm me, especially at any given time. And,
I think too, like I feel too that when in peace times, maybe we can relax, we can spread out the time zone. That's not what we have right now. So I think that people are going to understand that you can get hurt physically and financially if you don't perform right now. And so, and if you were in financial challenge before now, now's the time. Like, it's okay. The point of power is right now. But I heard from Jocko Wilkins. Do you listen to him?
Oh yeah.
I love Jocko.
Gotta love Jocko.
It's not what you teach and preach, it's what we tolerate.
Yeah.
And so at some point the standards just have to be the standards. And you know, that's what you, from every leadership position in the company, you have to decide who you want to be. And these are the times that make us better, no doubt about it. I do have something about and communicating the why is so important. Like, why we are going to adhere to these standards is to keep them safe, is to keep our customers safe. And why we need to be all over these financials is because you got money. Zig Ziglar says, money isn't everything, but it's right up there with oxygen. You know, it's right there. So that's the why. So I think that also helps. And Al, you're very good at that, is slowing down long enough to communicate the why you should have your jacket on, to go back to that analogy. Hey, can I tell a funny story about customers right now?
Can I fit in one quick thing? Because
to your team. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because I am the senior member here, so I have to get the story out, Josh, before it goes.
Before I take it off.
And if I wasn't on video, I could be writing it now. But then, I am on. So what I was going to share is, years ago, it came down to that, a tourniquet can keep you alive. But if you leave the tourniquet on too long, you're going to die, or at least get, lose a limb or something to that nature. So right now, you can use a tourniquet if you need to get through this process. The better you are, the less you're likely to need that. But be aware, it's just a short-term fix.
I love that.
Sorry, Al.
Oh, that's okay. And I was just going to say, as far as communicating too, one way we can help our team members is to make sure we're doubling down on our communications with our customers. We used to communicate to our service techs, we want the customer there. Show the customer the camera, right? Have them show and tell what you're doing. And now it's social distancing. So this is new for the techs, it's new for the customers, and the service coordinators and dispatchers can help us communicate that. But I have to tell you a funny story, and the person who told me should know better, should know that I'm a member of the press and that this is now going to go a wide. It was not a company we work with directly, but a sister company, and their service tech arrived at the door, and Mrs. Fernwicke opened the door and sprayed him with Lysol. Now, all she had to do was be 6 feet away in the other room, could have left the door open, and not only was that rude and violating it's just like we have to take responsibility. Extreme ownership is responsibility for the whole situation. So we can up our game too in how we communicate to our customers.
Yeah.
I think the training of a customer is a really excellent point that you had here. I did this years ago when we first got our service, our customer service rep, which we call service coordinator, was getting the scripts lined up about the experience they were going to have. So we were already in this process of training customers. So now we just had to add a line, Josh, to our, full out manual to adjust to this situation and explain how we do business and what we're doing now to do. And it's not like we had to write a whole long script. It was just a couple things. So one of my franchisees asked me about, well, how do we do this presentation at long distance? I go, well, I work with a company up in Colorado and nobody lives there. They're all rich. They got 6 houses or more somewhere around there. And we have to present to them. I said, we use phones. So when we get to the job, we tell them, this is ahead of time before we arrive. We need to show you what's going on. We need to be able to demonstrate. So we need somebody we can do. We're going to do FaceTime so you know exactly what you need to see. Now, years ago, I did this before that. When guys would go up in the attic or down in the crawl space, for those people on the East Coast, they're not coming with you. And so if you can take the camera and come back and show them, or in this particular case, distance share it with them, because otherwise they don't see the value of it. They're afraid, but they don't need to be side by side. Talk about social distancing coming back. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
What are some things home service businesses can do right now to really keep customers for a lifetime, to really instill that trust and build their brand with people being the expert? What are some of those things that you're finding?
Al, you take this one.
Yeah, I think, you have to pull the curtain back. For those who are old enough to know The Wizard of Oz, where nobody ever gets to go see behind the curtain what that is. They don't know how this was told to me years ago. Our good mutual friend, Dan Holohan, industry giant, said to me, here's what the story goes to this, Josh, so watch the time.
Yeah.
I told him one day, I says, I can't believe that customer quit. I was at their house myself at 2 a.m. and they quit. And he said to me, what you don't understand, Al, is your customer doesn't know that you're the only one that can do that. They don't know how the magic works. They just assume everybody can do that. And that really changed my approach to customers about proactively communicating about how the magic happens. So if you're doing all of what we just described, and our partner Jim just shot a phenomenal video to pull back the curtain and show them what we already do about how we've always sanitized, but even to a higher level, how they wear the face shield and mask, which we've always done, but we're stepping it up. So we're pulling that curtain back and proactively communicating that with our customers to show them what we do all of the time, but in particularly these times.
Yeah. Alan, you have any thoughts on that?
I can't, can I improve on that? Yeah, I mean, I think it is a matter
Thank you for letting me go first, Josh.
Yeah, each and every point of communication, the word I like to think about is leverage. With your team members, can we leverage that moment to share the why? Can we leverage that moment to give them some coaching or some constructive help on something they may not be doing well? And with our customers too, even just a sympathetic aw. Like when you answer the phone, there's the script. But when Mrs. Fernwicke says, my kids are here, I've got 11 people in my family, we're driving each other crazy, could you bring a roll of toilet paper? One of our franchisees is bringing toilet paper to the
I love that.
So
it is so good.
But, just like a little moment.
It's wrapped. Before any of you out there say anything, it's wrapped.
Yeah, it's wrapped. But just like these little moments of humanity, like could our first interaction with a person be a human interaction?
Oh, so good.
I love Ellen because she reminds us about the heart. Mm-hmm. And that you think, oh, why do I have to do that? Well, you don't have to do it. But if you want to go next level, and what Josh was talking about, customers for life, show them empathy, show them that you're listening. Those are the most key skills. And what are you doing to look out for them?
Yeah. It reminds me of that old saying that people don't always remember what you do, but they remember how they made you feel.
Maya Angelou said that.
Yeah.
I
love
beautiful.
That. That's exactly what comes to mind here. Well, all right, practical for a minute. And I'm going to have you kind of kick this off. What should home service businesses implement right now in their operations to ensure that they're weathering the storm and coming out the other side in a really positive manner.
Can I take the financial piece out?
Yeah, take the financial.
Okay, so right now, like, don't you have an inbox full of COVID-19 responses, right? The subject line. So what you want to do is find some responses from these credible resources. Go straight to the source, sba.gov. If you go after hours, it's less likely to crash. So 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. is a good time. And get your ducks in a row for the disaster loans that are available or going to be available. Find out what you need, because there is a path to walk. In the CARES Act, there looks like there is going to be some relief for payroll. So if you continue to pay your team members and you get a loan assistance for it, you are going to have that loan forgiven. Now, there are qualifications. You know who can help you sort through this is your CPA and your financial planner. The local resources that you have are also something that that team leader would be aware of. So probably in your in basket is from your CPA, an interpretation of the new opportunities to get relief or stimulus, from the stimulus package. And those guys can help you navigate it specific to you. And I would do that whether or not you have any intention of capitalizing on it or need it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Totally. Al, what else? What do you got?
Well, first of all, I just wanted, while she was talking, I went for this. So you at home need to know it's filled with water, not vodka.
Not vodka?
Most of you probably want to be drinking vodka. I get it.
I was drinking a kombucha and it looked like a beer, and I had to kind of, guys, it's really
I have my Hustle Juice cup
Hustle Juice
every morning, because every morning's a hustle right now. So
I hear you. Who is not fully occupied, especially in our trades. I would say that, being on a practical level here, it's really about PPE, personal protection equipment. Whatever you have beats whatever you don't have, and you really need to be resourceful. And, just can't go, oh, I called this, but they don't have it. You know what? That's not what leaders do.
Yeah.
They'll find whatever they need to do. They'll network. Talk about something that's emerged, which my dad also impressed upon us, is we belong to pretty much every alphabet soup organization. And they are shining. They are shining at this point. But this is also, I had a great network of friends and even friendly competitors that we would share information at this point about, here's what I went to, here's where I checked down. I went to an auto shop, Auto Zone or whatever, and found some of this stuff. So it does take a little bit of expansion, because that's really, I would say, the first, second thing. After we get done, there's a pinky swear, Al. What do you have to do with it?
Pinky swear.
You got a pinky swear to me that you clean up your act, because you do need to be doing this all the time. There's stuff that they need to be wearing. I always make the laugh about it. If I hadn't worn these glasses years ago, Josh, when I was using the Sawzall, my eyes would be blind from all the shrapnel that fell down in it. But it's just the things that I should have done. That is probably the first most important thing. Second thing is, if you have a CSR script, it just needs a tweak to fit what you need to ask now and how you prepare the customer, so that you don't have your text being sprayed down with Lysol. Now, there's going to be somebody weird out there. I can't protect you 100%, but let's talk about the 80-20. We're trying to cover the 80% here and let the 20 go.
Yeah.
A couple other things on the resources. I have to reiterate, thank you. A lot of times you think, why am I in all these associations? The one, IAPMO, the ASSE, the NAPHCC, franchise.org has been amazing, and the magazines
have been great.
Just peeling down, culling the wheat from the chaff here and coming up with real resources. These guys have so stepped up, and we are grateful. Also furlough, layoff, paid sick leave, none of these new requirements are going to be easy. So if you have a human resources person, great. But otherwise, you're gonna find those people by working those relationships from your associations, from other business owners, or maybe from your CPA and your lawyer right now.
Yeah. I did want to jump in and open up an area. It kind of took me back to Josh. Josh was asking about how do you build long-term relationship with your customers.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've all mouthed that your most important customer is your staff, your people, right? Well, I'm really interested in the long-term relationship with them. So this is where we find out who you really are. This is where we find out who you really are. I know I got to be careful of the time, but I do have a story that I like to share, which is I was in New York City union shop. We had union negotiated contract. This was back when inflation was really a word that people had to worry about. And inflation was going crazy. And we had them locked in at a certain price. And my dad came to me and my two older brothers and go, we have to open up the contract again. And so we said, what? And he goes, yeah, it's unfair to the guys. And we're looking like, so? And my dad says, you boys have a lesson to learn. This will pass and everyone will remember what you did or didn't do. We're going to open up this contract. So we actually opened up the contract so we could pay them more. You with me, Josh?
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, Irving, much more brilliant than any of his sons. Years go by. A lot of guys had left, but the ones that stayed, anyone new that came, the first thing they got told by these guys is what Irving did for him during that period of time. And that the Levy's aren't just about dollars. They're really serious about, you know, people. My dad, when we were little boys, he used to take us to wakes and things that I didn't want to necessarily go to. We used to go to the hospital to take care. He said, you know what, they were robots, and this is before term, he said, they go work for somebody else. They are members of our family. And I'm asking you, I don't care what size company you are, to treat them as family. Now, you do have to do like Ellen talks about, and I even mentioned Tourniquet, you need to know from a financial standpoint what you can and can't do. But if you can at all, think long term.
So let me play on that a little bit too.
Yeah.
I heard this from one of the seminars. You know, there's a lot of information. Franchise.org put it on, and it was great. And in any situation that becomes stressful on a grand economic scale, like we are right now, no one entity can bear all the burden. You know, even if you were so financially solvent and you had stockpiled a ton of money and you have no debt, at some point you're going to put your company at risk if you continue to give in a one-sided direction. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So really, in any challenge like this, everyone has a role to play, and communication is going to be really helpful. And we're going to make mistakes, but this is the point. That the owners, the associations, the franchisor, franchisee, team members, family members, vendors, the government, everybody has a role to play, and no one chain link can take the whole burden. So there are gonna be some challenges to sort this out, but know that it is gonna take some give and take as we progress here.
Yeah.
It's not a bad answer. It's just understanding that, you know, and even with team members, give people the benefit of the doubt. They're doing the best they can under stressed situations. I just have been instructing my team members today, if I do something that doesn't make sense, just call me, just ask. Let's hammer these things out and see if we can preserve the greatest good on the greatest number of levels within our community.
Absolutely. Awesome. Hey, I want to thank you both for, again, joining me today. I think there's a lot of good information for all the business owners out there. Is there anything you want to send away our listeners with in closing, just in terms of advice, extra tips? What do you got? Ellen?
Can you hear my dog?
I do.
I thought that
I'm
was
surprised I don't hear my kids yet. So.
I think it's dinner time. I think it's dinner time for Molly.
So, yeah.
You know, I think I want to leave my last words as I got it pretty easy. I'm in my nice office. I am not personally a high risk situation. I almost feel guilty about that. And I just want to shout out to the people who go out every day, you know, our guys to the healthcare workers and the grocery store. There are people out there who are essential providers of services, and I am super grateful for you today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Al, anything on your end?
I would just share is that, you know, this has shown there are many heroes in our life. You know, we didn't think about the Costco people, stock and shelf, and other people that are out there in front lines. And speaking to us as contractors, there's a reason we're essential workers, because we are essential. Mm-hmm. When this passes, I want you all to remember that we need to charge the right price. We are essential. And this isn't about taking advantage of people. I'm not talking about anything like that. But this is the reason you have to be in business now. This is why you have the money to buy all this stuff, the PPE. This is why you have to get the systems in place. You don't owe it to just yourself or even your staff. You owe it to the community you serve. I'm calling you out to your higher call.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get a little choked up.
I'm inspired.
I am too.
Thank
Two
you.
thumbs
I'm so
up.
glad I was on with you guys today. I feel like I needed this today. Thank you.
You know,
Yeah.
I think too, I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple days when it comes to trials like this that we face with respect to business and just life in general, just from a human perspective. It's so easy to get down on our luck and feel down, feel like we're getting our teeth kicked in. And I just hope everybody starts to recognize that through trials, these are really, I see them as transformational opportunities. Transformational as business owners, transformation as leaders, as professionals. And so there's one word of encouragement there. It's seek out that as the opportunity, because at the other end of this, we always go through it. There's only two types of people, those going into a valley and those coming out. And so this is just one of those valleys that you weather the storm, we'll get out of it together better than ever when we have that mindset that you guys are talking about so eloquently. So thank you so much for sharing your hearts and minds with us. We really appreciate it.
Love, love, love. Mwah.
And for everybody who is also listening, definitely hit the like button wherever you might be listening at. Hit the subscribe button and ring that little bell so you can get more of this awesome content. We'll be bringing more of these updates to you with respect to the coronavirus, the COVID-19 pandemic that is plaguing the nation right now, with some of our wonderful thought leaders like Al and Ellen. So stay tuned for more of that. Check out Scorpion's resource page where you can get information on the latest updates and trends of what's actually happening with consumer behavior and how it's affecting your business. And until next time, from all of us here at Sharps Tool, we'll talk to you then. Thank you.